It's 8 p.m. Hello and welcome to the City Newsroom. My name is Fema Dunyame.
And my name is Nathan Kwao. Coming up.
Police arrest 35 students of Agogo State College in the Ashanti region for demonstrating over erratic power cuts and water crisis. Meanwhile, a 7-member committee has been set up to investigate the matter.
Interministerial Task Force on Illegal Mining cautions unregistered small-scale miners to avail themselves for its vetting processes or face the consequences.
Also coming up, several parts of Accra flooded after this afternoon's downpour.
And workers of La Palm Royal Beach Hotel returned to work after laying down their tools this morning in protest against the managing director of the hotel.
All right, and now we take the news in details. Now, government says it is unable to identify some 700 small-scale miners who have been operating over the last 2 years. This was revealed to City News by the Secretary to the Interministerial Task Force on Illegal Mining, Charles Bissiou. Mr. Bissiou cautioned small-scale miners to avail themselves for the vetting processes or face direct consequences after the exercise ends. City Newsroom's Kojajman has more in the following report.
As part of the implementation of a roadmap culminating into the lifting of the ban on all forms of small-scale illegal mining, 1,350 registered small-scale miners are being vetted. However, 700 of them have not submitted to the process. Though a grace period has been given to such miners, the Secretary to the Interministerial Task Force on Illegal Mining, Charles Bissiou, says the miners are not opening up for the process.
The process will receive the notification, and then we send a team to go to the site to ascertain if the concession does really exist. Out of the 650, which we're still waiting for about 700 to come. So we are assuming that 700 are ghost concessions. But what I can say is that after this exercise, when we submit the report to the President, any documentation or concession that has not been captured will be deemed illegal, and the state will go back through the various agencies, i.e. Minerals Commission, EPA and all that, under the supervision of the Interministerial Committee to ensure that the demarcated, blocked out areas are given to people who apply for new licenses.
Key in the roadmap to the lifting of the ban is the use of technology-driven tools to fight illegal mining, but developments on the grounds prove otherwise. The Western Forward Operating Base do not have drones and adequate outboard motors to flush out illegal miners working along the 190-kilometer heavily polluted Ankobra River. Addressing these logistical challenges, the Secretary to the Interministerial Task Force, Charles Bissiou, also said within the week, some equipment will be distributed to all forward operating bases of Operation Vanguard.
Logistics, yes. We've trained about 20 Operation Vanguard forces as drone pilots. The drones are being prepared. This week is going out. They are going to have it, and then they work with it. I think we trained 20 years. And we've trained about 200. If we have to train more, it only takes a week. Now, we've went further and trained Operation Vanguard. And logistics, as they rightly said, is a problem. The President is talking about Ghana Beyond Aid. So we're looking at actually doing it. They have drones which have been procured for them. We've trained their men, and all they have to do is their laptops that we have to give to them, hand over to them to do their processing and all that. So it's not that they do not have it. Outboard motors, yes, they have 2. And I believe if the budget that they've brought to us, which has been forwarded to Ministry of Finance, can capture that.
20 drones have been purchased for all forward operating bases of Operation Vanguard. The drones will be delivered within this week. Reporting for City Newsroom.
Now, the Secretary to the Interministerial Task Force on Illegal Mining, Mr. Charles Bissiou, joins us in the studio to delve much more into this. Thank you very much for your time. You're welcome.
Thank you.
To City Newsroom. Right, so 700 miners cannot be identified. This is quite huge, more than half of the number you have. Mm-hmm. What has accounted for this? Is it institutional lapse?
Thank you. I think so. Hitherto, the miners were agitating that the ban be lifted, and the research we've done tells us that most of these 700 concessions that they were actually agitating for did not exist, because the 650 that we've even received, some have problems. Some we have problems with the incorporation document. Others we have problem with the EPA license, so they do not tally. So the 700 that hasn't come forward, I think ghost concessions, I call them ghost concessions, i.e. where they've actually mined out the minerals and do not want to do reclamation, amongst other things.
But where did you get the list from? Minerals Commission?
Yes, Minerals Commission presented 1,350 to us, and that is what the President presented to the Interministerial Committee.
I'm asking this because nobody can just get up and get the permission from Minerals Commission. So if Minerals Commission is giving you a list of about 1,000, 300,000, 400, and then 700 of these names cannot be identified, where is that coming from? So, I mean, what shows that even the 650 that you have, these are right figures and these, I mean, are okay by the operations of Minerals Commission?
Yeah, the 650, there are problems with them. And the 700 that we cannot find, that is the reason why this committee was formed. Because before this government came into power, we did our research and realized that there's a lot of problems with our agencies that are related to mining. Minerals Commission, EPA, Water Resources Commission, and of course forestry. And these agencies, that's what we're actually trying to help to strengthen them. And so these problems that we knew did exist. And that's what we're actually trying to strengthen the agencies by actually blocking all the loopholes, because that led to corruption. Hitherto people come in for their licenses. The license application process should take about 90 days per the Minerals and Mining Act, Act 703. But then we have licenses application that's taken more than 5 years. So that person is actually, motivated to go and mine illegally. And that was the problem that was going on. So I think the 700 are such people who have come forward. They've been delayed, and then they've actually had the impetus to go down and then actually mine the minerals.
With this in mind, what intelligence are you picking on the ground?
We would wait for the mapping team who actually started today to come forward. But what I'm hearing is that the 650 that we have, hitherto they thought that they were going to be victimized, but they haven't caused the problem. It is the agencies. Somebody has been negligent, and that is what we're looking at. Because we see the miners as victims, even though some have actually falsified documents and all that. But it's not a victim. Where we are victimized, we are trying to bring everything together so that we have a synergy, so that at the end of the year, when the finance minister comes out, he can tell us that the small-scale mining sector, this is how many people we've employed there, and this is how much revenue we've accrued from there.
All right, now moving on to the field, how are you dealing with the issues, the challenges of equipment, because you rightly said that, for instance, in the Western FOB, they have just about 2 outboard motors to do their patrolling. This is extremely inadequate. And sometime last week, there were reports of some of the miners even having sophisticated equipment than what you are working with. How do you work around these issues?
Yeah, we haven't had a ban on illegal mining, which has been extended to, for such a long period. So as we go along, these problems come up, and then we actually try to find antidotes to them. 2 outboard motors, yes, we've heard that. They're on Cobra River alone. That is not sufficient for. I remember the last time we had a meeting, the ministers came together, and they actually were talking about boats for boat patrolling and then night vision equipment and all that, which they have. They even ask for low loaders to actually cut excavators away, which they have. So we're actually going ahead, trying to get them the logistics that they require. For example, the Minerals Commission, they required vehicles for monitoring and supervision. We've actually procured about 28 for them now. Local government, for alternative livelihood, they've had 2. Operation Vanguard have actually asked for 20 more Land Cruisers, troopers, the one that they use. They've also been ordered for them. So we're actually moving towards actually narrowing down on the river bodies, so that by the time the ban is lifted, we would be only patrolling the river bodies, because we have the NAPCO 288 graduates that we've trained as drone pilots, and then Galam stop operators and all that, who will be doing the monitoring and reporting instantaneously to us. We have a flight hub that can actually zoom into the concessions live. So all these things are coming together.
Galam Stop, how has that helped?
Galam Stop has come in to solve the problem. Hitherto, you come in for your license, you go to Minerals Commission, and then you're asked to go to EPA, and then you're asked to go to other all the agents, and that will take forever. That is the reason why we've had problems where licenses are taken about, application process is taken about 9 years and all that. The Galam stop has come to stop that. We'll follow the application life cycle so that we ensure that it conforms or it falls within the 90-day rule. Whoever is delaying the process can be asked questions. The Galam stop also has a tracker and it's geotyped so that those who are actually going out to monitor, we can actually track their movement. So you cannot actually be somewhere and tell us that you are somewhere else. So basically, a lot happening there. Excavators and all that will be actually put into the Galam stop. So it's more like a one-stop shop where everything will be there, and it's going to control the mining sector.
Well, the miners and we all are looking at the lifting of the ban. Now, the sector minister, Professor Frimpong Boateng, gave an assurance that the ban will be lifted by the end of the year. With all these happening, you can't identify 700 of the people. You have challenges with equipment. Monitoring, in a way, is a bit of a problem. How sure are you that we are really going to be having the ban lifted before the end of the year?
Professor Frimpong Boateng did not assure anyone. What he said was that the president would want the miners to spend the Christmas very well. That's what he said.
No, he said the ban is will most likely be lifted by the end of the year.
He said the president wants them to be happy by Christmas. So we can interpret it. I mean,
so it does not mean that the ban will be lifted?
The lifting of the ban is contained within the roadmap.
Okay.
So every item that is contained within the roadmap, once you tick the boxes, you would know, you and I would know what is happening. For example, on the 3rd of September, we started the vetting process. On the same date, we started the evacuation process. On the same day, the training of drone pilots also started. So a lot of things are happening in multiples and quadruples. So these are all indications. But then we've been taken 2 weeks back by the miners. When the mapping team, the advanced team, got to Central Region, they told us that they were not ready. So we have to give them a week. So that has delayed us 1 week.
What exactly is the mapping team supposed to be doing?
When you bring the 650 documents that has been brought forward, submitted to us, we need to go, we need to go and then ascertain if that concession really does exist.
Okay,
so you marry
if the acreage is right.
Exactly. Because we've had instances where people have gone to Minerals Commission and actually submitted 25-acre concession, and by the time they get to EPA, it has been, cut down to size of about 10 acres and all that. So the mapping team collects the documentation, and then the second team goes to the concession to ascertain if it does correspond. And then there's a third session where they call the miners, where we've gone and you need to do reclamation, degradation and all that, and then you're spoken to, and then maybe you're given a probation period. So that's the mandate given to the vetting.
All right, so let's quickly look at the roadmap that you have. Where exactly are we and what is next? I mean, how long do we have to go?
Now we are the vetting process where we're waiting for the mapping team. We've actually started Central Region today.
Okay.
And next week we're going to Ashanti Region and then Western Region. And so, it carries on like that. So we are looking at actually speeding things up. But then I would appeal to the small-scale miners. For example, we have to extend the submission of documentation to this Friday. If they bring them forward as quickly as possible, then we can all work together, and then the ban is lifted. But one good thing that has come forward is that the new lands minister, Kweku Asumatremi, has actually suggested that he would want each miner to go back with an insurance policy.
Okay.
Because either two miners go in and they die and all that. This government has brought in the free SHS. We're looking at the miners can have the insurance policies for themselves, so that it caters for their family and all that. We've also brought the ID card system, where each miner in this country will have an ID card, so that people cannot come out and say there are 4 million miners, 5 million and all that. And then also, I think last Thursday, the miners came to us and said they would want to wear uniforms so that they are differentiated from other people. So we're working together. By the timelines, they wanted the ban lifted speedily. I think they should bring the documentation
forward.
So
quickly before you go, what happens to the miners who do not come for the vetting process?
After the process, when the committee presents the report to the Chief of Staff, who then hands it over to the President, anything outside of that will be deemed illegal.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much, Mr. Bisu, for your time. We'll keep following you for more updates. Okay. All right. So I have been talking to the Secretary of the Interministerial Task Force on Illegal Mining, Charles Bisu. Now, moving on, staff of the La Palm Royal Beach Hotel this morning staged a demonstration to demand the immediate removal of the facility's managing director. Abna Pukea Boaite Amwa. Their grievances include the refusal of Madam Abna Pukea to implement the review of their salaries, which was to take effect from January 1 this year. They further describe her relationship with staff as appalling. There is more in the following report.
A protest to demand the removal of their managing director. The aggrieved workers, through the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, submitted a petition to the Director General of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust on Friday, September 28. In the petition, they accused the Managing Director, Abna Pukea Boaite Amwa, of numerous inappropriate behavior, such as the alleged looting of funds, mismanagement of the facility, recruitment of special staff to supervise old staff, and the reckless dismissal of staff as punishment, among others. They also complained about the non-payment of their SNIT contributions and union dues, although these are deducted from their salaries monthly.
We are now telling the whole world, we are telling the presidency who she claims appointed her to come here, that enough is enough. We don't want to see her here. Her incompetence is disgusting, and most of the things she's doing is sinking the hotel. We wouldn't sit down. This hotel is a public entity. It's a property for SNIT. We will not sit down to watch what's our investment, because SNIT for Ghanaian, the Ghanaian taxpayer, we won't pay our taxes to SNIT. So we will not sit down and watch this happen. If it happens, we will be victims. Our families will suffer. People have depended here. So we will not sit down for this to happen. Whoever have come with an ulterior motive and the person's aim is to run the hotel down, we are not going to succumb to that.
You just came in, you snake yourself, and she imposed herself on us that is the president who have appointed her. But looking at it ethically, we think that the SNIT board should be the one who should do that. Okay, the SNIT board who should appoint. But to her, nobody introduced her to us. She just called us one, said that she is there. Okay. However, okay, we are saying casuals who have worked. You came and you promised them that you are going to give them permanent job. You have selected casuals that you are going to employ. Look, my brother, my sister, they've collected applications from these casuals. It's just lying down there. And we've seen her recruiting permanent positions, coming, filling the job. People who do not know the job, they come and we are the same people who train them. I'm not casual. I'm not casual. Yet, my entitlement are not be given. DAS contribution, okay? From March up to now, my own money that has been deducted from my salary has not been paid. Casual SNIT contribution it's not been paid, okay? And when you deduct this thing, as a SNIT industry, when you deduct their contribution, you don't even pay that one either. Is it fair? But we are still doing this thing because you've asked till when we will stop. It's the woman that we don't want to.
After about 6 hours of protests, the demonstrating staffs of the hotel were asked to go back to work by the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union. The union's General Secretary, Solomon Kote, who addressed the workers, promised that his outfit would see that the matter arrives at a successful end.
We have used as a national union to petition both the Chief of Staff and the Director General of SNIT. Indeed, they are supposed to make a decision on the petition we have sent. Though in my short delivery this morning, I sought to summarize the issues of concern. We did that also because we are not pleading to the general public. We know who the authorities are. It is no secret that it is the president that nominated this woman and imposed her on SNIT, and SNIT brought her here.
Correct.
That is why when she came here, she had to come and introduce herself. No authority came to introduce her. So what we have done so far is to do the following. There is a crisis meeting going on at the SNIT head office right now. The issues to be considered includes what we have done today. Then at the presidency, the Chief of Staff and his team are also looking at the issues. We are very certain we shall be subjected to scrutiny on every single allegations we have made. And by your help, we believe we have never told a lie, we have never exaggerated, and we have never overemphasized our issues. Each of them that we have mentioned, we are clearly going to defend them as such. Now, where we have reached, we will want to plead with all of you to return back to your work.
Now we go over to one of our headline stories. Today's showers have again left parts of Accra flooded, leaving them unmotorable. This has become a ritual in the area, such as Asylum Down, Jowlu and Airport, after every downpour.
Over the years, the frequent floods have cost Ghanaians millions in damages and rendered families homeless. In other cases, lives have been lost. The authorities have, however, blamed the menace on structures built on waterways and choked drains in the city. There is more in this report.
The rains began at about 11:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Areas like the Kwame Nkrumah Circle or Dona were flooded. Drivers and commuters were left stranded as the rain soaked some bus terminals. The petty traders were not spared. Many of them had to seek shelter at filling stations. City News' checks at parts of the airport residential area and Jowlu saw some routes also flooded, leading to heavy vehicular traffic. The N1 highway was one of the worst affected major roads in the capital, especially the stretch between the Tetekwashi interchange and the Jowlu Junction traffic light. The amount of flood water collected on the road had forced the three-lane highway into a single road. The Kwame Nkrumah Circle, where the infamous June 3rd disaster occurred, was also flooded, with various buildings rendered inaccessible. A video making rounds on social media also suggested that the newly built $250 million Terminal 3 at the Kotoka International Airport was reportedly flooded. But upon arrival at the Terminal 3, the news team noticed that the flood water had receded. The issue of perennial flooding, especially in the capital, continues to expose the poor planning and inadequate reactive measures to forestall what is gradually becoming a menace.
You're also watching the City Newsroom live on City TV. We'll go for a short break. We've got more stories after that. Don't go anywhere.
Good evening, this is The Point of View. We're live on City TV.
Tune in to The Point of View, Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. as Bernard Avlet takes the news further. He will bring the right guests, ask them the relevant questions, and get you the real insights you need on the big stories for the day.
We need taxes to run the economy. How do you do it sensibly and have the least pernicious effect in terms of cascading through the economy? And I think that is the thinking that is required. It's not a denial that we need taxes, you know, and I think that is the difference in the two administrations.
The Point of View with Bernard Avlet, Monday and Wednesday nights, only on City TV.
Thank you very much for staying with us. You're still watching the City Newsroom live on City TV. Now, it appears the special prosecutor Martin Amidu decided to go public with his plight after internal structures he used to have his problems resolved failed. City News has cited a letter dated September 10, 2018, written by Martin Amidu and addressed to the Chief of Staff, copied to the Attorney General, Finance Minister, and the chairpersons of the Special Prosecutors Governing Board. In the letter, Martin Amidu catalogued his concerns, including having, quote, a small and inadequate office accommodation, and, quote, for his 13-member staff. My colleague Sixtus Don Ulo has joined me in the studio to delve deeper into the story. Good evening, Sixtus, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, Nathan.
What exactly is Martin Amidu's challenge, or what are his challenges per the letter we've cited and per his grievances that he's put out into the public space?
Nathan, for those of us who have been following this particular story from here at City FM, yes, City TV, this really is not the first we are hearing of this particular matter. Okay. It started way back, immediately after he was sworn into office as a special prosecutor. Okay. We got information that what he's now describing as the small, inadequate office accommodation for a 13-member staff size, yes, that was the information. Indeed, we had people go look at that particular office space, and some of the concerns that he's raised, maybe there may just be some merit to the concerns that he's raised. So yes, what we are seeing now is what concerns that he have been there, but he has just put them to paper now, forwarded to the president, asking for immediate attention or intervention in the case, so that, I mean, he would be adequately resourced to do the job that he's supposed to do. He's asking for basic things. If we are familiar with the operations of any particular setup, most of these constitutional bodies that we see, or bodies generally set up by the state in furtherance of one objective or the other, he's asking for a proper and adequate office space. That's because, according to him, the space that he has now is inadequate for himself, for his team. He's asking for capital logistical support, and this may come in the form of vehicles, may come in the form of money, in the form of furniture or furnishing for the office space and all of those things. The things that he would need to be able to carry on his job, and he's asking for subsidiary legislation. This is crucial. It was surprising.
Why is this important? Because the setting up of the Special Prosecutor's Office is, of course, firmly grounded in the Constitution. I'm sure we all know
in the Act.
In the Act. So why then does he need further legal backing or support to help him accomplish his task?
Nathan, you would recall that prior to the establishment of the office, one of the core discussions that went on and on was about the powers of the Attorney General, or the Constitution having vested the power of prosecution in only the Attorney General for the state. And so that would mean that no other body can initiate prosecutions or can initiate proceedings at certain level, at criminal levels. It has to take the Attorney General. Now, for us to be able to have a body like the Special Prosecutor prosecute these offenses that are well within the remit or the purview or the jurisdiction of the Attorney General, you needed to be able to have the framework that would grant another person that authority. We call it delegated authority, so that the person would be acting in the stead of the Attorney General to prosecute these specific concerns. Now, recall that the Office of the Special Prosecutor is for specific investigations, prosecutions, and recovery cases. It's not any and every matter that he would be dealing with. And for him to be able to do that, he needs the Attorney General to delegate a part of his authority to him to do that. Now, the subsidiary legislation that he's asking for will give us details. For instance, the Act 959 says that the the Special Prosecutor will also be responsible for the prevention of corruption. I mean, that's so vague. How does the Special Prosecutor accomplishing that particular task? Now, this legislative framework that he's talking about would help him do that, so that there's no conflict whatsoever between that public sensitization duty or function that he's supposed to carry out, and a similar function that another state institution is supposed to carry out. There's also the question of collaboration. You see, if you look at the composition of the board of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, you have people coming from the Financial Intelligence Center, you have people coming from IOCO, you have people coming from SRAJ. All these are bodies that deal within the space of corruption, prosecution of corruption. Now, how do we split, or how do we have these bodies work in a way that they interface nicely without conflicting? So this legislative framework he's talking about will be in furtherance of all
So essentially,
this.
he just wants proper clarity of his domain, the scope of work, and what these various stakeholders you mentioned are bringing to the table to help him do his work.
Exactly. And in a way, it's also good for us. Imagine that the special prosecutor is allowed to go on and on and on and on with his powers. He decides to prosecute anybody he so wishes without recourse to any framework. Imagine what would happen.
All right, that's an interesting question. But let's listen to Martin Amidu, the special prosecutor himself, detailing some of these complaints and some of the challenges he's had over time in executing his task as special prosecutor.
We have set up an office. We have to organize that office, have the requisite personnel. It doesn't take one day. My law says that 90 days after the assumption of office of the special prosecutor, pursuant legislation must be enacted. As we speak today, I have no legislation. So I use my common sense. The law says I can coordinate with other organizations. So I coordinate with the Auditor General. I coordinate with IOCO. I coordinate with other anti-corruption bodies, so as to find a way by which we can begin to work towards the ultimate end. I have warned that if most of these things were not done by the middle of this year, then this office may not be able to be seen to be doing its mandate by middle next year. Because by middle next year, you are in election year. If I arrest somebody, you will turn up and look at it. Which party does he hold the insurance card from? Right? Because criminals now have taken political party cards. So when you arrest him, he will flash his political party card. And his political party will come, no, it's because he's our member. And I've warned, if we have to do it, we have to do it during this lean season. As at now, you don't have a viable office that can do that.
So that was the special prosecutor, Martin Amidu. Let's get the thoughts of civil society people in that space, and what they make of the situation and what they've got to tell us. We hear from Franklin Kujo, who's president of Imani Ghana, detailing their own perspective on this particular development.
The legacy of President Nana-Addo is far bigger than these exchanges, and especially on corruption. Don't forget, that whole a significant part of the campaign was prosecuted on corruption. So if you've come in now, the very entities which I call the last bastions in the fight against corruption, but truth be told, the other ones, I don't trust them because they are politically wavy.
Which ones? SRAJ and co?
Oh, not SRAJ. SRAJ is okay. The other agencies, you know, as you hear today, they are doing something. They are using the same money they collect to take care of themselves. I don't even know what they do, but I'm just saying, I trust these two entities, especially the special prosecutor as well, as Nana-Addo has advised. And I'm willing to actually go ahead to also talk to people I know, organizations that can support the prosecutor. Some actually asked for it. I recall Ford Foundation told me that, look, they think there's an opportunity to support the Office of Special Prosecutor. So they had wanted to meet the Finance Ministry long ago. I believe these things can still be, activated. There's the Open Society Initiative for West Africa, who are coming into town in about 2 weeks. We have to tell them that, look, these are very important structures in a democratic process, so we need to support them. So if the money is not there, I'm not saying we shouldn't complain, but we should also help by looking at.
So what has been stopping you all along? If you had such networks, who or which can?
Oh no, nothing has stopped us. I'm always telling to say, and indeed they've actually even advanced some support in that process as well, especially Ford Foundation. So I'm just suggesting to you that now that it has come to light,
so the money will see what they can do to
we'll talk to them, because we
raising
do
funds
all the
for the office.
And it's within the civil society space anyway. We tell them, look, these are entities that need support. Because they ask us all the time. I'm sure all that civil society actors listening would
that's quite a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, the EC, the last election, the EC, Ford Foundation did advance money to them. And some of us made a representation for them. So it has to be done. Because I think Nanado's legacy, one of his biggest legacies, will be the trust, that fight against anti-corruption. So we should do that.
So, Sixtus, you've heard from Martin Amidu himself and the players in the civil society space, Frank Nkujo representing Imani Africa. Just quick thoughts on those comments, and then where this discussion will go next. What's in store for the special prosecutor now that he's put out these grievances?
With the concerns raised by the special prosecutor, we can only welcome such efforts as the president of Imani Africa has put out. You know, anybody who can help. The problem with that is, if you look at Section 22 of the Act, which talks about how the office is to be funded, it talks about gives three categories.
Okay.
Monies approved by Parliament, monies approved by, or grants, coming from the Finance Ministry, and then also internally generated funds by the office itself.
So monies coming from outside this jurisdiction is a no-no per the Act.
That's where the problem is. There are those who think that if we were to allow people from outside the jurisdiction to sponsor the activities or operations of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, it might just create an opening for some other machinations later on. Imagine that there's a third party who has plans of inducing or using some of our state officials to do one or two bad things, and then they come through the office that is supposed to investigate these issues, sponsor the office, and then the office is later finds the need to investigate such persons. Imagine the difficulty or the potential conflict of interest scenario that would present.
Just concluding thoughts. Now that these grievances have been put out in the public domain and then to the office of the highest office in the land, the presidency, what do you think the response will be, or has there even been a response from the presidency concerning these grievances?
Indeed, there's been a response. We've had the assurances of the highest office that they are going to resource the office. The problem, according to the presidency or sources close to the presidency, the problem has been with the bureaucracy of our system, the processes that these things have to go through. Remember, it's a new office. They have to go through a series of processes to be able to do this. That is the story according to the state. But it is important that the office is immediately resourced so that it doesn't remain there. The prosecutor is compelled to use his common sense, as he puts it, which is very dangerous. We can't allow our special prosecutor to rely on common sense to run the office. It's really, really dangerous.
All right, Sixtus Donulu, thank you very much for your insights on this matter. Of course, we'll keep an eye on that and see where this story evolves as it goes along. Let's move on to some other stories. And former Chief Executive of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, KMA, Kojo Bonsu, has officially joined the flag bearership race of the opposition National Democratic Congress, the NDC. Mr. Bonsu, in a letter of intent addressed to the General Secretary of the party, said his versatile experience in entrepreneurship and corporate leadership could be harnessed by the party for victory in the year 2020. My colleague Umaru Sanda Amadu has more details.
Well, so Kojo Bonsu is traditionally a businessman known for his relationship with printing teachers at a company called Ashtec at the time. And then he entered politics, became a key campaigner for the National Democratic Congress. And an Ashanti man doing that at the time was very crucial. In 2000, he was very instrumental being seen, saying that he was an Ashanti man and calling on people in the region to vote for the NDC party, which was almost like unheard of. So that's how he came onto the scene, campaigned vigorously for Professor John Evansata Mills. And so when Mills won in 2008, gave him a job, first as managing director for GOIL. Now, if you look around, you'll notice that GOIL has gone through some rebranding. Now, that was the handiwork of Kojo Bonsu. Again, he was part of the Sports Council, again as a board chairman for that, another appointment by John Mills. He served that term. And then when Mahama was campaigning to be president, again, he was very instrumental, a key guy in the Ashanti caucus. So John Mahama again rewarded him with a position as the mayor of Kumasi. And you recall what he did with the Kumasi Rattray Park, our best, if you like, national amusement park that has been had for the first time maybe in ages, of course, especially that now that it has been deteriorated and we've seen so many issues. So that is what we know him politically and then business side. Now, post-2016, we are told from insiders in the John Mahama camp and indeed insiders in the NDC that he was the master architect behind the unity works that the party held across the 10 regions. Again, being a businessman, you would expect him to come up with cash to support this kind of campaign. So, in a nutshell, that's what Kojo Bonsu is. And let me just add quickly again that he's an Ashanti royal. His brother, Nana Bonsu, is a chief in Menchia. So, you can say he has the ears of the chiefs in Menchia. So, he throwing his name in there, wanting to be president through the ticket of the NDC is rather interesting. Joins the race to become number 11. He'll be launching his campaign on Wednesday. It'll be interesting to see what he brings on. You know, it's an interesting dynamic that we are going to see. There are views that, well, he's a Mahama guy who has just been planted there, and later he'll be stepping down for John Mahama. Of course, that also has been espoused. Mind you, there's a school of thought that because some of the candidates are ganging against John Mahama decides to throw in his own people and then support him. But these are all conspiracy theories that we cannot confirm.
We're still on politics now. The opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, in the Bunahafo region is accusing a police prosecutor of bias against the treasurer of the party in the Asunafo South constituency.
The treasurer has been remanded after an altercation with a member of the NPP during the just-ended limited registration exercise. Michael Sapong-Fum has more in this report.
The NDC in the Bunahafo region says the police prosecutor, Chief Inspector E.A. Akono, has been biased against the Asunafo South constituency treasurer, Osman Mohammed. According to them, although Osman Mohammed fought with Kenneth Sefa of the NPP, he had been made to walk away whilst their party member languished in police custody. Osman Mohammed had a fight with Kenneth Sefa at Kenyase during the just-ended limited registration exercise conducted by the Electoral Commission as part of preparations towards December 27 referendum for the creation of some regions. The case is currently before the Duai and Kwanta Circuit Court. When the case was first called, Osman Mohammed was remanded in police custody, but the NDC argues this is unfair. Addressing a press conference in Sunyani, the Bunahafo regional chairman of the NDC, Kwadwo Nyamiche Mafo, noted that the police prosecutor misled the judge to remand Osman Mohammed.
This man be detained beats our imagination. We believe that the police prosecutor deliberately misled the trying judge so that he could detain the guy or he could remand him. So we are making it plain to the police that as a political party in the region, we will always defend our rights and pursue the law in all our dealings. And we expect the police also to behave in the same manner. So this is what in brief we have for the media men. We are going to launch an appeal for the remand of our guy, and we believe that there has been a miscarriage of justice or travesty of justice for now, and that when we launch the appeal, definitely we are going to have the guy released from remand.
However, the public relations officer of the Bunahafo Regional Police Command, Chief Inspector Augustine Kingsley Opon, in a statement denied news making rounds that the judge, His Honor Alexander Graham, who sat on a case at Doya and Kwanta Circuit Court, had been attacked by NDC thugs. For City News, I am Michael Saponifum reporting.
You're still live on City Newsroom. We take a breather. When we come back, police arrest 35 students of Agogo State College in the Ashanti region for demonstrating over erratic power cuts and water crisis. Meanwhile, a 7-member committee has been set up to investigate the matter. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
City TV is live. City TV is a free-to-air digital channel. On a digital TV, please press menu on your remote control and run a news search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV on your television. City TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like GoTV and StarTimes box. Tune into City TV and experience your world. City TV, it's your world.
You're in tune to the Breakfast Daily on City TV. Stoneboy SSO. Keep it locked. Don't log off.
We spice up your mornings with culturally enriched conversations, social interviews, and policy-oriented discussions that will keep you updated on the progress of the nation.
And that is the reason I was making the point to him that I refrained from responding to this Joyce Bauer statement. Because if some citizens have accused President Mahama of diverting a certain amount of money, deal with that, deny same, and move on with your life.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Let your voice be heard with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Join us for breakfast daily, only on City TV.
Thank you very much for staying with us. You're still watching the City Newsroom live on City TV. Let's get to the Ashanti region, where a 7-member committee has been set up to investigate disturbances at the Agogo State Senior High School in that region. The committee, which is chaired by the district director of the Ghana Education Service for the area, has been given 5 days to look into the matter.
The protest, which was led by female students, has left several school property, including school buses, damaged. My colleague Hafiz Tijani has the details from Kumasi.
7 students of the Agogo State College in the Asante Achim North District of the Ashanti region have been arrested after a riot in the school. The students on Sunday evening staged a protest over unstable power supply and acute water shortage at the school. Officers at the Criminal Investigation Department of the Asante Achim North District Police Station have begun taking statements from the students. District Police Commander ASP James Ameka says the students will be granted self-recognizance bail after their statements are taken.
So far, 37 students have been arrested. 33 females and 4 males. The whole thing was orchestrated by the ladies. They provided the ringleaders, 4 of them, 4 ladies that organized a demonstration, and they invited their colleague male to come in. So as I speak, we are taking statement from them. We grant them self-recognizance bail for them to go back to their parents. Since the school has been closed down, they need to go back to their parents. So you could see my CID men about 4 CID men are taking their statement. So because the authorities gave them up to 2 p.m. to vacate the school. You know, they've been custody since dawn. So they need to go back and pack their things and leave the campus.
The chief executive for the Asante Achim North District, Francis Otibuatin, says the students will be levied to pay for the damage caused.
We inaugurated 7-member committee to investigate into the matter, and we've given them 5 days. So by the time they come back, I think their report will be ready. Actually, I don't have any figure at the moment. I've tasked the engineers to assess the extent of damage that has been caused, and so that after the assessment, you know the amount of, you can quantify the extent of the damage so that we can share it among all the students. And I know it's not going to be any burden or a serious burden on the students or their parents, because definitely there are plenty, a lot of students in the school, about 4,000 population. So even if everybody is paying the 10 Ghana, it will be a lot of money, but they have to pay for it because they destroy the properties. Yeah, that is the reason why we closed the school down for 5 days. We are going to restore all the damages. We realize that they have a lot of polytanks there, so we are going to use these 5 days to pump water to all the polytanks. And there's a problem with Ghana Water Ajansa. We are working hard to restore that pump also at Jansa, so that water will flow. As for the electricity, I have some of the lights and I'm going to give it to them so that it will be restored immediately. So by the time that they come back to campus, everything will be okay.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Education Service has temporarily closed down the Agogo State College. The school authorities say they will sanction students who led the protests. Reporting from the Agogo State Senior High School, my name is Hafiz Tijani for City News.
In spite of dangers associated with getting closer to the surface pipelines of the Tema oil refinery toll that connects the Tema port to the refinery, artisans and squatters as well as haulage drivers have developed a settlement exposing the pipes and themselves to danger. City News' Tema correspondent Elvis Washington has more in this report.
The Tema oil refinery has its main pipelines connecting to the Tema port. These pipelines also run through various parts of Tema, from the refinery to several oil marketing companies in Tema. Several of these pipes are surface pipes and, more importantly, exposed. Settlements have sprung up around these pipes and have become a major source of worry to many residents of Tema. Officialdom, however, seems to have ignored these settlements as well as the poor road attitude of tanker drivers on the road. A visit to the toll area, where several persons, including artisans, have encroached, revealed that these artisans have been there for several years and are not perturbed by the dangers that surround them. Truck drivers have also used the enclave as their parking lots while they await the next load.
We have been here working almost more than 10 years. And we have been in our business, which is petrol business, selling of petrol, over 10 years now. Yeah, we are scared of the dangers that surround us, but we are very careful with our job because we have been in the job for a while, so we know as things that are very necessary that in the job we have them, as such as fire extinguishers. We have everything which we can use to protect ourselves, fire and things. We are scared, but we have all the protection, so we are not scared much now.
In case if maybe there is a fire around here, there is nothing you can do. It's just that maybe you run away from the shop. Yes.
A 32-year-old polytechnic graduate who deals in petrol and diesel a few meters away from the refinery, the kind of business Evans does is popularly referred to as bele-bele. They sell petrol and diesel in gallons at affordable prices below the pump price. Evans told me they have a fire extinguisher around that is used in saving fire situations, but when I asked him to show me one, he was unable to do so. Artisans and truck drivers have all encroached very close to the pipelines, and they indulged in various forms of activities and businesses around the pipes, with naked fire also being set just around the street. The potential danger to life and property is obvious, but as usual, very little seems to be happening to correct this, even in the face of an increase in fire incidents over the past 2 years. For City News, Elvis Washington reporting from Tema.
And this is where we draw the curtain on tonight's edition of the City Newsroom. Do visit citynewsroom.com for more news.